Welcome to our channel, where we uncover the intricacies of political power and leadership. Today, we delve into the enigma of Vladimir Putin's enduring reign in Russia. In 1999, when Putin first assumed the presidency, Russia's constitution restricted the president to 2 consecutive terms. Yet, Putin's ambitions didn't end there. Following his second term, Putin strategically shifted to the role of prime minister, maintaining his influence while laying the groundwork for his return to the presidency in 2012. Fast forward to January 2020, Putin proposed a constitutional amendment to extend presidential term limits, effectively allowing him to remain in power for 2 more terms. And in July 2020, Russian voters approved the constitutional amendments, solidifying Putin's grip on power for the foreseeable future. Stay tuned as we dissect the mechanisms behind Putin's remarkable political longevity. So let's talk about what's been going down in Russia since 2020. So President Vladimir Putin threw a curveball with some big changes to the country's constitution. These changes made the Russian government way more strict and tough on anyone who speaks out against it, as we've seen with the whole Alexei Navalny thing. One major part of these changes was that Putin could stick around as president until 2036 by resetting his term limits. Now you might be wondering, can things still change? Or are we stuck in this sev? Well, Tatiana Stanovaya, a big name in Russian politics, has been digging into it. She's saying we need to look at 2 sides of the story: the official stuff, like how the government's supposed to run, and the more personal political side. First up, the official side. Think of it like the nuts and bolts of how things work. The changes started with some updates to the Constitution and then a big vote in mid-2020. After that, they've been tweaking a bunch of laws to match up with the new rules. The constitutional reform required changes to existing laws covering various aspects of government, judiciary, law enforcement, parliament, security, especially concerning the Security Council, and social policy. Several notable political developments emerged from these changes. While some expectations about how the political system would operate post-reform were met, others were not. For instance, despite the creation of a new constitutional status for the State Council, its political influence did not increase as anticipated. Instead, it continues to serve primarily as a platform for Putin to coordinate the activities of the cabinet, governors, experts, state banks, and corporations, without evolving into a second government or competing with the Security Council. Putin's involvement with the State Council is sporadic, with only occasional presiding over meetings compared to his regular engagements with the Security Council. The Security Council, on the other hand, remains a narrow forum for discussing strategically important national security matters. However, it's crucial to note that Putin doesn't finalize decisions during these meetings, but rather uses them to stay connected with key figures, gauge sentiments, and explore various ideas. The actual decision-making process extends beyond the State Council, with the Secretary of the State Council, Igor Levin, having minimal influence compared to the Secretary of the Security Council, Nikolai Patrushev, who holds significant power and promotes a more assertive stance. Be sure to give this video a like and subscribe if you are enjoying the content. Furthermore, the recent amendments have banned the publication of dissenting views and any public criticism of Constitutional Court rulings. These legislative adjustments provided the Kremlin with an opportunity to further consolidate its control. New laws developed to align with constitutional amendments serve to deepen the initial changes made to the Constitution. One notable example is the impact on the Constitutional Court, where the amendments have increased the president's influence over the judiciary. Under the revised laws, the president gained the authority to remove judges from the Constitutional Court, the Supreme Court, and lower courts for misconduct, albeit with coordination with the Federation Council. Additionally, the size of the Constitutional Court was reduced from 19 to 11 judges. Furthermore, a bill aimed at aligning existing legislation with the Constitution effectively abolished the concept of dissenting opinions within the Constitutional Court. Previously, judges could express disagreement with court rulings by submitting dissenting opinions for publication in the official journal. However, the new amendments prohibit both the publication of dissenting opinions and any public criticism of Constitutional Court decisions. With these changes, Vladimir Putin is now eligible to remain in office until 2036. Does this mean Putin's power in Russia is now unchecked? Overall, the presidency has emerged as the most dominant institution, granting Putin the potential to extend his tenure indefinitely until 2036. This shift has led to a reduction in the powers of the parliament and increased dependency of the judiciary on the head of state. However, it would be inaccurate to suggest that the reform completely eroded the concept of separation of powers. From an institutional standpoint, the reform has indeed weakened both the legislative branch and the judiciary. For instance, amendments about the functions of the Federation Council compel it to relinquish certain privileges, such as the authority to confirm the Prosecutor General and regional prosecutors, tasks now entrusted to the President, albeit after consultation with senators. Conversely, the Federation Council has gained some new prerogatives, though they are not decisive. For example, while the President must consult the upper chamber on the appointment of future heads of law enforcement agencies, the Federation Council cannot impose its candidates on the head of state or veto a presidential appointee. In essence, despite the constitutional reforms, the role of the Federation Council hasn't been significantly reinforced, contrary to Putin's assertions about Parliament. Instead, it has lost significant privileges, which have been somewhat compensated with more consultative functions. The same applies to the State Duma. The lower chamber has gained new powers, but it still lacks the final authority on crucial decisions, such as the appointment of the Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Ministers, or Ministers. On one hand, the President has gained significant privileges that enable him to override parliamentary vetoes and impeach judges, thereby consolidating his hold on power. However, the functioning of the regime is not solely determined by institutional mechanisms, but also by political institutions, introducing a crucial political dimension. This dimension revolves around the ability to maintain the loyalty of key institutions, such as the ruling party United Russia, governors, and elites in general. From a political perspective, if the ruling party were to experience a decline in approval ratings and become highly unpopular, Putin's social support would weaken accordingly, prompting a shift in the system's dynamics. Opposition within parliament could arise, governors might challenge federal authority, and the ruling party could disintegrate. Without the capacity to manipulate election results and rely on a robust ruling party, Putin's political influence and control over government bodies would significantly diminish. It's crucial to recognize that Putin has only two primary strategies for securing political stability and control. The first involves maintaining broad political support, relying on the power of authority derived from popular legitimacy. The second strategy involves resorting to the authority of power, which relies on repressive measures rather than persuasive and constructive strategies. Since 2018, there has been a noticeable shift in the Russian regime's approach, moving away from relying on the power of authority towards embracing the authority of power. This transition has been significantly accelerated by the constitutional reform, leading to a less tolerant, more repressive, conservative, and ideological regime. Examples of this include the imprisonment and poisoning of Navalny, crackdowns on his team, regional staff, and ordinary opposition activists, unprecedented pressure on media and journalists, enactment of new repressive laws, and the unchecked actions of security services. These practical consequences stem from deep political changes that were reinforced by the constitutional reform. The year 2020 marked a critical juncture in Russian history, characterized by a radical shift towards authoritarianism and repression, with no tolerance for critics of Putin. The anti-Putin opposition, often referred to as the non-systemic opposition, has effectively been outlawed in Russia. Regarding Putin's decision to reset his terms, caution is warranted. Currently, it remains an institutional possibility, rather than a defined political choice. Putin's true intentions, which may even be evolving in real time, remain unclear. Neither Putin nor anyone else can confidently predict whether he will still be president by 2036. Initially, Putin aimed to prevent the elite from seeking out potential successors. However, lacking better or safer alternatives for his future, the temptation to prolong his stay in power may be considerable. The feelings of the Russian people about Putin's control over the presidency and recent political tensions are mixed. Most Russians supported changing the constitution, but not everyone agreed on all the changes. Many liked the parts about improving social rights, but some didn't. This shows a big change because before, people didn't openly oppose Putin as much. Why people support Putin has also changed. Before, they liked him for what he achieved. But now, many support him because they don't see any other good options, are worried about money problems, and are scared of things getting politically unstable. This shows that things are complicated in Russia right now, with different views and concerns among its people. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking content. Feel free to leave your comments down below and share your thoughts on today's video. Also, remember to turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Until next time, stay informed and stay curious. See you in the next video.